Hi, I'm Josh Katz. I'm here with Adorama TV, and I'm pleased to introduce the new Canon RF14-35mm F4 lens. This is an incredibly fun, diverse lens. At 14mm, ultra wide, you can shoot tons of action shot and get really exciting perspectives. And then you can push it to 35 and have that very standard, classic focal length. Now, what's also great about this lens is it is incredibly compact. It's much smaller than the 15 to 35 equivalent. It's lightweight, and it's a great multi-purpose lens for taking anywhere you go, whether you're doing travel photography or today, we took it on a test for some skateboarding photography. So I brought my friend Shane McGrain along, and we shot a bunch of different photos just to really put this lens to the test. So just to walk you through a couple of the different setups that we use this for, started off with using it all the way at 14mm just to get a feel for how wide we can really shoot. And the answer is extremely, which is great for getting awesome overarching perspectives. And I really want to emphasize the architecture of this beautiful overhang. So I'm shooting nice and centered, and even though I'm shooting as wide as 14mm to capture this entire beautiful amphitheater, the warp pitch is not too crazy, and that's the power of this lens right here. This is a really great lens for photographers like myself who like to spend a ton of time shooting outdoors. When you're spending the entire day outside, oftentimes you don't want to shoot below f4. So in exchange for that, you get to have a lighter and more affordable lens that never limits you. After we got the amphitheater shots, we headed over to the overpass just to get some more photos. And what I love about this overpass is it's nice and skinny with tons of leading lines, which is where a wide angle lens comes in handy. So you can shoot at 14mm like we did to emphasize the curvature of the overpass, and then you can take a few steps back and push to 35 for a more standard perspective. And that versatility is so incredibly important because I like to just get a bunch of different options. So we started off getting super close in there, actually doing those last second pull away to not get hit by the skateboard, always the best way to shoot a skate photo. And then we backed away and shot some 35mm from above, and doing a flip out LCD screen is always a win there. Throughout this shoot, I've been using two 600EX version 2s just to fill in some shadows. Another perk of this lens is that it doesn't have an overly round front element, so you can use a standard 77mm filter on this. So I tossed on a polarizer filter just to emphasize the blue skies and make sure everything is looking nice and crisp. And just so you have an example, this is what one photo looked like with the polarizer, and this is one that had without. So after the overpass, we then headed over to the East River Promenade, where we got some beautiful shots of Shane pushing with the Williamsburg Bridge in the background. Always a classic photo. And to emphasize Shane in this busy background, I decided to slow my shutter speed down to 1/15 of a second and ride alongside Shane. Now, one of the perks of this lens is that it has image stabilization, which ensures that I can be shooting at 1/15 of a second and still have a pretty sharp shot with Shane nicely in focus and everything else giving that nice motion blur from riding. After riding back and forth a bunch of times, we also tried some with a quicker shutter speed and continued to use the polarizer filter. Next, we headed back to the amphitheater to get some nice close-up still lifes of Shane's skateboard. Now, one of the perks of this lens is that it has a 7.9-inch minimum focusing distance, which is minuscule, allowing you to get so incredibly close, get some perfect details of Shane's board, of the wheels, of his grip tape, so many different options that you normally wouldn't be able to shoot with a wide angle like this, which is a ton of fun. We've also got a control ring on this lens, which lets you do any sort of exposure compensation wherever you need it. This has been a really fun, versatile lens to use today. I've gotten some nice, sharp photos with it, and all in all, I just love the range. So if you have any more questions about the RF14-35mm F4, feel free to drop them in the comments, and we'll be sure to respond. And to keep in touch with Adorama TV, be sure to like and subscribe as well. Thank you all so much for watching.